Welcome back to Helsinki here in ASUS ROG Stars Invite Tournament, and it's Sunday and it's time for some more show matches between these great players in this tournament. All the show matches are going to be best of 3 and the winner is going to take $1,000 with them. So let's get started and call IdrA to the stage. Of course it's Sunday, most of the people are still sleeping in. So, IdrA, you just won the tournament, got $6,000. Is there any room in your wallet for 1,000 more?
I think I can fit some extra, yeah.
If you could buy another one, though.
I could, or I can just spend it all, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, you're going to go against HuK. So, HuK, if you can come to the stage, please. Yeah. Woo! So, HuK, your run in this tournament wasn't that good, but how do you feel going against your friend here?
My friend? What?
Ouch. Okay, your teammate.
Yeah. I don't know. We play a lot. Well, we meet a lot in tournaments, and we go pretty even lately, I guess. He used to dominate me in beta, but I hope to make good games, and I hope fans enjoy it.
So, is there going to be a handshake for good sportsmanship? Or, yeah, let's make... Oh, that's good. So, let's get started. TotalBiscuit and Apollo.
Well.
That was the fakest hug I've ever seen before. You see that? You guys saw that? That was for the camera.
What you didn't see was the syringe in HuK's hand injecting a mild sedative
it was
into the back
like
of
that
IdrA's
scene
neck.
from Gladiator.
Yeah, man.
HuK come from the back and
Are you not
Adria.
entertained? I should certainly hope so with this matchup.
This
should be great.
is, you know, the highlight show match for me personally. I mean, having watched these guys play game after game, series after series within MLG, most notably, this is just going to be truly epic. As Chris said, that IdrA was always the one beating HuK to begin with in the early stages of, well, the beta, and then even in the early stages of Starcraft 2 release. But then all of a sudden, HuK was training harder and harder and harder and got better and better and better, to the point where in the most recently playing against each other in the Home Story Cup was when things really turned around. 2-1 for HuK there.
Yep.
And then in the last Blizz Invitational in North America, a clean 2-0 sweep. But in MLG, they've always been relatively close. HuK winning 2-1 in the group stages, and then IdrA winning 3-0 in the championship bracket. And, you know, it's like when HuK initially joined EG, the front page of EG's website was that arm lock, fisting pump. These two guys are the head faces within the StarCraft 2 community.
Yeah, absolutely. The two incredibly prominent Western players that are consistently beating Koreans, which I think is the thing which powers them forward to being at the tip-top of the foreigner scene at the moment. And now we get to watch them fight, and they're currently doing so right now in the lobby chat. It's pretty funny.
And if you think about it as well, IdrA was always the #1 foreigner at the early stages of StarCraft 2. And then when you say who's the best non-Korean now, and especially with the recent MLG Orlando win for HuK, it's now HuK. So we're looking at two of the best non-Koreans in the world here fighting out for a $1,000 show match. And it's not just $1,000 because these guys play for EG, they're rich already, right? But there's a lot of pride on the line for these guys.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that, and that is, I don't even know what half of this chat is about. I think there's some crazy EG lingo going on in this that doesn't make any sense to an outsider. It's code.
Not at all. Just looking over the map pool as we get this game underway. Looks like both players are ready to go. The countdown is on the way. We look at IdrA's vetoes. He got rid of course, Exelnog Caverns.
It's not his favorite map, is it? Let's be honest.
And then his second choice was the Shattered Temple, probably because it's extremely hard to take a fast third base there, and especially against HuK's style. And then looking over at HuK, Shakir's Plateau, strangely vetoed, just said he doesn't really like to play on that map against Zerg overall. And then Metalopolis, of course, that slightly Zerg favored map.
Oh yes, and here we go with the show match that's guaranteed to be entertaining in some form, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you your first contestant. Playing for Team Evil Geniuses, and of course, playing Protoss to the west of the Antigua shipyard. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for HuK. Well, they can both agree on something. And his opponent, also his teammate, rival, frenemy, I suppose might be the appropriate term for this one. He's in the blue trunks over to the east playing Zerg. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for your ASUS ROG champion, IdrA.
Look at this banter. I don't even. I'm just. What is this?
There's some backhanded
HuK.
compliments going on there
There's
right
a
now.
couple of HuK. Oh, he just wants me to buy him beer because he didn't do well in the tournament, but I don't want to say that too loud just in case he does hear. But these players, even though HuK was out of the tournament that early on, for any of you guys who actually followed what he did after that, he literally sat in the back room and played nothing but ladder straight. And he actually went 40 wins and 3 losses.
Yeah, he did.
That's incredible.
Ridiculous.
He's like top 5 grandmaster in Europe.
Oh, yes. I'm not actually sure if this is going to be a Starcraft match or if it's actually going to be just a chat room. I'm okay either way. Both are incredibly entertaining. Spawning pool going down initially for IdrA, of course, doesn't want to have that hatchery prevented. And let's be honest, HuK is not above cannon rushing where necessary.
Well, if he does feel like he can get away with it, he definitely will. And his pylon placement here is a little bit different from what we usually see.
Yeah,
it's a lot more towards the front, but it's a lot more defensive in this state. He can go for this Nexus first now, and the wall-off can start to take shape from the ramp to the Nexus. Though on this map, because it's so wide, we may have to see HuK build 2 cannons to make sure of any Ling run-bys here. And there we do have that pylon placed down on the natural of IdrA, and he's going to try and get that down, and he does get that hatchery down here instead. And you can see he's actually following the probe around with a drone to actually make sure there is not a pylon placed down, or there is not a cannon rush available somewhere else.
Yes, indeed. Well, Antigua Shipyard is a great map for doing that. Yeah, see, there you go, and that's why we saw that earlier in the tournament. In fact, IdrA did the same thing. When you attempt to block off this area on Antigua, he just goes here. Because the third actually is not that far away. It's not unreasonable to do that and then take a fast third at your natural. Join the creep up there, and yes, you might be a little bit vulnerable to some early pressure, but if HuK is going to go with the Nexus quite early on, that pressure is not going to come.
And I like how HuK actually sent the probe to the bottom right first before sending it home, realizing that it was not going to die, and actually just wanted to build a gateway before the cannon. And now the cannon will finish in time to prevent anything from getting in. Well, the Lings, I think the drone might go in, but does decide to turn around. But that's all right. And here we have IdrA transferring to that third base, and he's going to be taking about 4 minutes 30. Actually, the drone comes down now. Third base, super fast. We'll want to work extremely hard on those drones, because when a Protoss player opens like this, he's basically saying to you, I can't do anything until Warp Gate research has finished at 8 minutes in this game. So IdrA, looking at the game clock, has another 3 minutes of where he can potentially do anything he wants. And even if a Zealot did walk out into the center of the map, IdrA should be controlling the Xel'Naga Tower to the point where, all right, a couple of Zealots are coming, I'll just build 8 Lings to deal with this.
Yeah, and IdrA, in fact, is just going even further than that. He's going to control his opponent's ramp right there and make sure that no Zealot gets out, and instantly notices, of course, that he's about to get stabbed, so backing off immediately, grabbing that Xel'Naga Tower. Couple more Lings in production, doesn't want to overcommit just to a single Zealot.
We actually have +1 starting incredibly early here for HuK, taking the first and second gas at the same time in his main base. This basically shows us that +1 will finish a lot faster than usually, which means it will be before the timing attack. So just on that alone, we can kind of assume that he's going to be going for a +2 timing attack because he got it that early. Usually if he wants to do this, it will be with a lot of Blink Stalkers. But at the same time, this map, as we spoke about a lot yesterday as well, is a very defensive map for Protoss. They can take it at a very easy third base if they want to, and then extend themselves to that fourth base. And IdrA repeating exactly the same in every sense of that word of how we played against whiteRA on here just yesterday.
Yeah, and it worked extremely well against whiteRA. whiteRA, in fact, losing in a clean sweep to IdrA, who was on absolutely fantastic form throughout that entire matchup. We've got IdrA with a Roach one coming into the back, and that is a lot of extra gateways we just got put on there.
And a perfect Overlord scout here by IdrA. Scouts, all these gateways being added on. He's going to be able to get all 5 scout, I think. So 5 extra gateways combined with a 6th one on to that natural. I doubt that HuK can really play from here, is actually checking that Overlord. Only saw 3 being added on, actually. Wants to keep the Overlord alive rather than going in deeper. So HuK may actually decide to continue with this, or he may go take this third base. At the same time, though, he has taken double gases, so we may not be seeing that aggression coming out straight away. And IdrA's creep spread, his drone production at 46 right now, about to go up to 51, but has built a comfort round of roaches, as I like to say, is where he can just have 7 roaches there, and if he needs more, he then can build more to kind of back up these first 7.
Yeah, +1 coming up for him as well. Very, very late on the metabolic boost, so we finished around the 9.5 or so minute mark, and honestly, he hasn't needed it this entire time. It's good to see that he's held on to that. HuK now moving out into the center of the map. Fairly trademark HuK here with a large sentry count, very confident in his force field placement, and against Lynx and Roaches, force fields are perhaps one of the most effective tools he could possibly have.
Yeah, HuK has to be super careful here because Lings and Roaches alone will beat this kind of army composition, especially with the creep spread out so well. HuK does have a lot of force fields available though, and IdrA's found the hidden pylon on the higher ground as well, knowing that this is the position that everybody goes to. Oh, is he going to force field? He doesn't even need to force field actually. He does save the pylon, and he does warp in another round of units. IdrA's count though is 11 Roaches and 12 Lings, more in production as well, and force fields are going to be key here in fighting this, but there are a lot of Roaches that HuK should be scared about.
Yeah, IdrA just got supply blocked right there as HuK was able to snipe off an Overlord. Not really a big deal at the moment because Lava won't be out in order to spawn new units by this point. HuK's not willing to go in there. Don't really blame him, and the creep spread is really, really scary. Far too easy to be flanked, even with great force fields. So HuK now moving back across the map. IdrA just roaming out, seeing what he can find.
HuK needs to fall back onto these 2 cannons, which he is building here on this higher ground of the third base. He's forced a lot of units out from IdrA. 21 Roaches and 22 Lings. At the same time, HuK took a really fast third base, so as long as he can make sure to defend it, and with these cannons he should be able to. He's looking in good position, but at the same time, IdrA has taken a 4th base on that gold.
Yep. 4 force fields expended in order to kill 3 Roaches, which might not seem all that good, but there are a lot of sentries, so the energy isn't perhaps as important. IdrA extending to the goal base, he said, and we've got a lair, and it looks like IdrA may be able to snipe off this pylon as well, not without too much of a problem there, so not a possibility of pressure coming in from that area.
And I would not be surprised to see the robotics bay go down very, very shortly from HuK here. And one of the big things from HuK, he's lost almost nothing. I don't think he's even lost a single unit so far. He's playing extraordinarily well, and that's one of his strengths. His gateway control is incredible. He is so known and scared for it on the Korean ladder that gateway units, usually for anybody else apart from HuK, is really bad, but he controls them so well. But at the same time, IdrA is running by. HuK does wall. Oh no, there's a gap.
Oh dear, that's not good at all, and the warping does not prevent the Lynx from getting into the mineral line, which is the crucial thing. In the meantime, we see HuK is going to try and assault this gold base, should be able to kill it in time. The response shouldn't be quick enough, but the amount of economic damage that's been done here by IdrA, the Lynx aren't actually moving. They were set on stationary hold by the looks of it, I think, while IdrA was trying to do something, but this gold goes down, and not as much damage as could have happened there. Only 3 workers killed. That should have been way more than that.
3 workers trading for the gold base. HuK knew exactly what to do there. And IdrA put his Lings on hold move, so they would do all the damage to the Lings rather than attacking the Zealots. But HuK put the probes in the gas, so they weren't even on the mineral line. And now HuK's gateway count is so high. Look, he's fighting gateways against Pure Roach, and if he force fields these units, the Zealots will go to town on these.
Yeah, and there we go. That's a reasonable force field there, able to collect a free donation of 8 Roaches here from IdrA, and IdrA forced backwards once again, trying to find himself a position in order to get some damage onto his opponent. How do you do that when there are so many force fields there? There's still loads of energy available on those sentries. The Roach count is not high enough, and IdrA did get Burrow. I don't believe he does not have tunneling claws yet, so he doesn't really have an easy way to get around those force fields.
There's so many Roaches out here for IdrA, and HuK, realizing that threat, decides, all right, let's get some Immortals into this composition, combining or getting like 2-3 Immortals into this mix, or potentially more if he can afford it, is going to work out so well against this Pure Roach combination. But he has to think about the late game now as well, because he has to start focusing on getting Colossus out. They are so good on, and not just good in general with their attack damage output, but in holding the center, holding that gold base is going to be so important.
Okay, IdrA's going to strike at the gold base right now, but he just got cut in half there by those force fields. But yet more roaches barreling down on HuK, and there are actually no force fields available at that side. Oh, the Immortal does not survive more than a fraction of a second here. Some force fields going down, but plenty more roach damage in. There's a nice blink as HuK consolidates his Stalkers, while IdrA streams into the natural to attempt to do as much damage as possible.
This is so smart from IdrA, realizing as soon as I'm at 200 food, I can replenish that immediately, so let's get rid of these units and maximize the damage output from them. And he's killing so many probes now. That 3 probe count, which he killed, is now at 25 and rising, almost at 30 now. He has killed so much.
Yes, he is, and HuK attempting to menace that gold base with a small force. Not enough. IdrA just with infinite roaches coming on here. Looks like he's found a cheat code.
He has found a cheat code, and he's also realized that because of the economic damage he's done to HuK won't be able to use all these gateways. He's at a total of around 10 now, I think it is, and he won't be able to use these properly because he doesn't have the money. He's trying to chrono boost more probes out. A Colossus is on the way as well. I'm not even sure if he's got Thermal Lance yet. He has not got Thermal Lance. So HuK in a bit of a bad place, especially because Broodlords are on their way shortly, and IdrA has found this awesome balance within his own style, his own play, to drone hard, but his aggression factor has risen so much higher than anything I've ever seen before.
It scares me, really, to see how little harassment HuK's really been able to do. He's killed the gold base, but he's killed no workers throughout this entire game. And IdrA has streamed ahead as a direct result of that. Almost double. He's on 87, and a quick boost of 3 more probes takes HuK to 49, which is nowhere near enough to saturate those 3 bases. And IdrA, once again, with a large force of roaches, grabbing the upgrades quite quickly in order to match up to his opponent. He actually has an upgrade lead for the time being. More roaches moving in right now. Force field placement is very good. Traps a large number of roaches there in the center that will be easily destroyed by HuK out of position. But in the meantime, a Ling run by has hit the natural.
Yeah, and he's doing so much damage. That probe count, oh my god, he's killed 50 probes so far in this game. IdrA is on fire. Recently, what has happened to Greg Fields? He's turned into this amazing Zerg player. He's really got control of his game right now, and he is outplaying the best foreigner here.
Well, I mean, honestly, I would say that IdrA's just returned to his former self. You know, he was absolutely fantastic at the start of the game. He had a couple of months where his performance wasn't quite as high. People thought, oh, Kraken actually lost it, and the answer is, well, no, he didn't. What he has done has sorted out his mental state and got back in the game and is now playing even better than before. It's as simple as that. We're seeing this gradual rise, the evolution of a very stable and, as you said, very repetitive style. He tends to do the same thing every game. At this point, though, what we're seeing is IdrA just massive macro, great creep spread, excellent control, and engaging at the perfect time and doing huge economic damage to his opponent and forcing the one thing that tends to happen when Protoss end up in this kind of corner.
And this observer, does it actually see the Broodlords? I don't think it does. So he's going to be in a bit of a surprise, but his composition is overall well prepared for Broodlords, as he does have a decent amount of Blink Stalkers. HuK by no means is out of it, but he has to start thinking about that 4th base. That gold base has to be taken. I like how he's started sniping Creep Shim as well to prevent the creep denying any access towards it. And he is working on a Dark Shrine as well, but uh-oh, he jumps on the Broodlords and gets everyone. But he's been fungled and trapped.
Yeah, that I don't think was a good trade at all, honestly. It's like nice to kill 3 Broodlords, but it gave the Roaches the opportunity to surround and absolutely annihilate a huge number of Stalkers, and he pulls back before the force fields are able to grab a lot of Roaches there. In my opinion, that was an excellent trade for IdrA.
And he's coming around the back with more roaches, and there's not too many force fields left, and all the sentries are going down. Oh, no.
Oh, that's absolutely brutal. Will he be able to stop it all? He gets the force fields down to prevent major damage to his forces, but still, this is the problem. He's killing roaches, and IdrA's killing sentries and blink stalkers.
The one thing which could turn this around, really could turn it around, is these DTs. IdrA has his one mistake here. He's not covering his expansions with spore crawlers and spine crawlers, and DTs are going to be able to take down the right, the left side of this map, and I think IdrA's even seen the waves on the map. I'm not sure if he does actually. Yes, he does, because he is throwing down spore crawlers now. He knows what is going on, but will HuK be able to do the damage necessary before these DTs get taken out?
That's the question, isn't it? There's 9 Spore Crawlers coming in. That's a huge number going just all over the map. IdrA can't afford to do
No,
just
he wasn't
that.
building them because of that. He was trying to max out his supply potentially. And
Oh, wow. Did he actually
he just
cancel?
cancels every single one, and now these DTs are going to work onto the right expansion, the north expansion, realizing that these Spore Crawlers are in horrible position as well. He's not going to be able to do anything, having to use this Overseer instead.
Yeah, that is really, really unfortunate. There, you know, you can obviously grab those overseas, but a huge amount of mining time has now been lost, and HuK is using this opportunity to rebuild his army. We've got a large number of spine crawlers in the middle of the map, but that isn't doing anything. And all of these mining bases have, for the moment, been prevented from doing a damn thing. Finally, the overseers are able to clear up the majority of the DTs. There's only a single one left on the map, but in the meantime, HuK has managed to get his army back into a reasonable semblance of shape and is now looking to menace a base.
Oh, versus 8 Broodlords is going to be extremely difficult. The one thing I've noticed from HuK's play on his stream and in replays is that he's so consistent and persistent in his games. He will never give up. He will fight to the end. And a lot of the times, a Zerg player will sit back and take it easy, and HuK is still working hard and can crawl back in a lot of scenarios. Great spread of units anticipating this attack to come into his natural area.
Yeah, unfortunately, he ends up losing a Colossus to the Broodlord before anything actually happens there. That's not a good start. He does still have 4 Colossi, and in fact 5 Colossi at the back, which will clean up the Broodlings quite effectively. Still, a lot of damage will come in. There's an aggressive blink right there into that Roach line. If he's able to smash through there and take the Broodlords out, that'll be crucial. A lot of Broodlords sniped off by that Stalker count, but there are still so many Roaches. More Warpins coming in. Needs the force fields. Can't do it. IdrA locks down those sentries and annihilates them. Now smashing his way through here, but still unable to penetrate the defenses of HuK.
Really nice play from IdrA there, and HuK as well. The problem is he's stuck on 3 bases, and it's not just being on 3 bases, it's the gas he cannot have. His upgrades are stunted at 3-0 right now compared to IdrA's 3-2. And IdrA just has the capability to remax over and over and over again. He has so many resources banked up, and he's now back at 200 supply. 2 more Broodlords on the way to meet up with the other 2, so we'll be at a total of 4. But the Roaches are so well upgraded. The Lings are not upgraded, but they are doing so much damage versus these Stalkers when they blink and try to jump onto these Broodlords.
Yeah, there are overseers all over the map right now. HuK has been able to deny a mining base down there. He's scouting in a number of locations to see what he can with 2 more Dark Templar. 4 overseers are actually created in order to try and spot these DTs as they wander the map, doing a ton of damage, and this is what HuK tends to do in this position. He reverts to using excellent DT play and placement, harass, get scouting information, destroy as many workers as possible, potentially even deny entire bases worth of mining.
Yeah, and he's running around with these DTs very smartly as well. And IdrA, to be honest, his economy is not that good anymore. I mean, his main base is mined out. His natural is almost mined out. His third is mined out. The gold base is almost mined out. And there's only a single proper mining base at the top left, which HuK knows about. And on the right-hand side, HuK has been denying expansion. So very, very shortly, the mineral bank is at 2,500, but another remaxed army will bring that down, and then IdrA's going to be in trouble. But as we've stated so many times, HuK has to take a 4th base. His main base is almost mined out, as well as his natural and third as well.
Yeah, HuK's trying to deny this mining base up to the northwest here, which of course is a good idea. In the meantime, though, IdrA is preparing for yet another attack. Looks like HuK might be able to kill that. Yeah, I think he will. One more swing should do the job. So nicely denied there by HuK, trying to at least stunt the economic growth of his opponent, but still, he's got to survive this attack in order for that to mean anything. Force fields all over the place right now. A lot of Roaches denied at the back and destroyed. There's a quick blink, but fungled there by IdrA. Huge amounts of damage being inflicted on the Blink Stalkers to that side. Colossi falling one by one. Naked Colossus left there exposed for those Roaches to come and destroy. The Blink Stalkers go for it, but they can't do enough damage to bring down the remainder of the Broodlords. HuK, however, with another Warpin, once again holds the third.
Yeah, he's holding it very softly, but is about to crumble down because he's only at 95 supply. These Roaches are so well upgraded, and IdrA, is back at 200 supply immediately, every single fight.
Yeah, he keeps remaxing over and over again. HuK's now dipped into the double figures of supply, which is never a good thing. The Broodlords are finally annihilated, and HuK getting some pretty efficient engagements here, but IdrA, once again, not worried about efficiency. That's why he's using an awful lot of Roaches, just throwing them at his opponent over and over and over again, doing as much damage as he can, knowing that he can afford to lose this, and HuK on 3 bases certainly cannot.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, like we talked about just a couple of minutes ago, is IdrA's economy is starting to crumble down. Look at his resources. He can't even remax out this time. He's stunted at 170 supply. So despite HuK being slowed down, he is long-distance mining from the gold, which Roaches are going to take clean up of. But he's only got 2 Broodlords now, and that's 2 Broodlords morphing, and the rest is Roaches. HuK's control... He just has minimal units, but is controlling and staying into this game till the 29th minute. And here HuK is going to try and take that gold base. He has nothing mining really now. And with proper control, he may still be able to win.
Oh, he just eat the fungal there, which is not a good thing at all. The Colossus trying to annihilate those infestors, able to snipe off one, and HuK driven away once again. But the comment you made there is interesting because IdrA, if you do not count the gold base, which is almost out of minerals, is actually only mining from 1 base right now. Because he had this base up to the northwest denied, because much earlier on in the game, he lost this base over to the east as well. IdrA is much, much more limited, and his income is not exactly looking healthy at the moment.
HuK tried a pretty cute tactic and sent 2 DTs into the amongst of the army to try and get some infestor snipes. 1 DT for an infestor, especially full energy, is pretty good. But IdrA smartly fungal growthing every single one. It does lower the energy down for the fight to kind of hold the stalkers in position. But I just don't think HuK has the quantity.
GG, yeah, he did.
Called.
You can't blame him at that point. He held on for an incredibly long time, but that force just was not big enough to crack the gold. But excellent harassment there, able to wear down his opponent, get him down to 1 mining base, which would have been crucial to get back into the game. If only being able to take a 4th base a little earlier, then he might have been in a better situation. But the harassment there by IdrA for the first 20 or so minutes of the game was excellent. Continued attacks with Roaches and Zerglings into the mineral lines. Massive amount of workers killed, and early game harassment for HuK pretty much non-existent aside from that 1 gold base snipe.
Yeah, I mean, I think where HuK kind of lost it, I mean, he's not really watching the replay either, but where he lost it was when IdrA attacked on multi-areas to the 3rd and into the main and to the natural, losing 25-30 probes, killed off HuK's economy, slowed him down, and then IdrA was able to capitalize on that, taking bases all around the map, making units all over as well. And I guess the proper way to kind of deal with that would have just been to try to keep units from going into the natural with a couple of force fields, and then try to keep them on that lower ground and fight on the 3rd to the natural, but not allowing anything into the main area of his base. And the next map, as said before, is going to be on Terminus SE, a nice large map. Will HuK be able to play against Macro IdrA over here?
Well, I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? We're just going to go to a quick message from our sponsors, and they'll be right back with Game 2 of HuK versus IdrA.